Why is this event being staged, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, one of our colleagues had this idea, and the idea is that we have been doing many protests. We've been in the streets. We took over Grand Central Station. We took over the Statue of Liberty. We've shut down 8 bridges across the country. We've done all of these actions, and now we need to mourn. We need a time to mourn. And that all of these children have died for what? It's unspeakable.
And our taxes are paying for this atrocity. That 10,000 children are dead, and we want to focus on that. That's what the effigies, the babies are, to focus on the dead children and the fact that the killing has to stop.
The genocide has to stop. It's children, and it's adults, and it's elderly. It's thousands, it's way over 20,000 civilian Palestinians. It was 1,200 Jewish Israelis. And all the hostages who don't have a chance, anyway, the ones that are left, because they're going to be bombed too. So the bombing, what is it solving? Nothing.
And the fact that ceasefire is even controversial is pretty outrageous. I mean, do people want the killing to continue? I don't understand how our politicians cannot be a ceasefire. And it's tremendously humiliating and embarrassing that our country is the only country in the world who at the UN didn't vote for a ceasefire. It's really outrageous when the majority of people in this country are asking for that. What kind of democracy is that?
And abstaining in the last vote, like that was some virtue? Abstention? The lack of humanity in our country's foreign policy is really, as Esther said, embarrassing, but it's also going to be fatal to the United States.
What kind of response are you getting from average New Yorkers from these protests?
Terrific response. I mean, I don't think that we ever expected the response that we're getting. People are thanking us. People are in the streets with us. We are, this horror of a moment, the only silver lining is the social motion that this is producing. And people are coming out all over the place around this issue. All of that energy that we saw in the George Floyd protest is now here. And it's the first time in my lifetime. Roz and I have been doing this for over 50 years. And it's the first time that we have seen a change in the narrative like this. Where people all over the country are saying, absolutely not, this has to stop.
And a lot of people in the Jewish community have broken away from their so-called leaders.
Yes, and there's something to really note. In the mainstream media, often it's said that it's the young Jews, and a lot of them it's true, but it's also old ones and middle-aged ones. It's all across the generations, and I believe that Zionism is seen as twilight. Zionism as a belief in an exclusionary ethno-nationalist state as something that brings safety, well, now we see it does not bring safety to Jews. It does not bring safety to anyone. And so we have to come back to a very much more humane and inclusive and just vision of how we want our societies to be structured.
Jason, why did you come to this memorial march today?
Because I think we have to be present and mark a presence of an ongoing genocide. We have a particular responsibility living in the United States because of the way that the United States funds war across the world, but especially in its aid to Israel. If we can shut down the ways in which the U.S. funds a genocidal state, then perhaps what we're witnessing right now comes to an end. So I think there's a particular moral obligation of people that live in the United States to try and do whatever's possible to stop the flow of weapons and money that makes this possible.
Have you taken part in other protests? Or is
I have in both Philadelphia and New York City. I'm also an educator, so I do a lot of work where I educate along